connections to the legendary story. In fact, the author of The Wizard of Oz lived in Allegheny County as a boy. As Daybreak's Pete Galvin tells us, that's only part of the unknown story of Western New York.
Do the roots of Oz lie somewhere in the hills of Allegheny County? It's a possibility because the roots of its author certainly do, thanks in part to the rich oil history of the region and the oil rush of the late 1800s.
I mean, there's a connection people have no idea about.
L. Frank Baum was born in Chittenango, New York in 1856. In the 1880s, when oil was struck, his father, Benjamin Baum, who had been involved in a wide variety of business ventures, turned to the potential riches in the petroleum industry. And while it was not somewhere over the rainbow, it was Richburg that they attempted to make their riches.
Oil flowed down the hills. It flowed into the streams. They had skimming operations where they would take the crude oil off the water and take it to a refinery. One of the early skimming operations was run by L. Frank Baum and his father.
The younger Baum was still 20 years away from putting pen to paper and authoring one of the most beloved stories in American history, but many say his time spent here influenced his work through life.
The Wizard of Oz was it the Tin Woodsman that has the upside-down funnel on his head? Supposedly he got that idea, that thought from the local oil fields.
Coincidentally, a couple of decades later, in another part of Western New York, another crucial meeting was taking place on the long road to Oz. Harold Arlen, who wrote such classics as Stormy Weather, Accentuate the Positives, and Paper Moon, got his start as Hyman Arluck, a jazz musician aboard the Canadiana.
He kept moving up the ladder from one band to a better band. Usually the better bands were better because he was in them.
It was also the start of a friendship that would start on the Emerald Channel of Lake Erie and wind up in the Emerald City of Oz. According to many accounts, in the summer of 1923, while playing with his band, the Southbound Shufflers, Arlen met an eccentric young performer named Ray Bolger. They became fast friends. Bolger came to Buffalo again to perform with Arlen's next band, the Buffalodians, and their paths would cross several more times over the years.
They renewed their friendship, and neither was making a whole lot of money, so they became roommates.
And those former roommates would come together again in 1939 as Bolger's eccentric acting and Arlen's songwriting and composing would bring to life The Wizard of Oz, a story written by L. Frank Baum, a man who once called Allegheny County home and wrote his own chapter in the unknown stories of Western New York.
Yeah, most people know about Frank Baum's connection to Western New York, but all of his other connections, that's where Pete comes in.
Yeah, right.
So very, very cool. And Wicked, of course, at Shays this week. I'm going to see it on Thursday.
Oh, you are?
Can't wait.
I
yeah.
heard it's awesome. I haven't been. I
haven't either. I got to see it too.
And the story is
about the witches
and how they became the Wicked.